been a rough one for me. I got to get something out of there, but I'll get it in a little bit. So today is National Raisin Day. And on this National Raisin Day, we're going to make this as cookies you could eat for breakfast. We've always called them cookies so good you could eat them for breakfast. It's our name for it. I've had this. I wondered how long I'd had this. It actually has the, like I said, this was the one where you used to cut them out of the magazines. I've had this since October of 2006. So I've had this recipe for almost 20 years. Whew. So we play with it a little bit. It's not exactly the same as the magazine one, but we're going to get started with that to get it rolling. So these were supposed to be softened, and they're room temperature, but they're not really softened. But we're going to hope that's good enough for today, because KitchenAid is good with that. Now, for this, I'm using 1 stick of salted and 1 stick of unsalted butter. That reduces the salt. It also has salt that you can put in it. I do not. I've explained before why I don't do that, and that's because my husband's diabetic, so I don't cook with salt. If we salt anything, it's afterwards. So that's that situation. So we're going to take butter and then a cup of packed brown sugar, which I'm going to use sugar-free brown sugar. I'm going to use regular sugar and sugar-free brown sugar. So if that makes sense to you. So half a cup. I'm going to go ahead and... Uh-oh, somebody must be outside. I'm guessing the mail person is probably somewhere close by. There's your half a cup. In it goes. And it's funny, I told my husband, it amazes me that I now know how much I clean up when I'm on the go, because there's so much to clean up when I'm done. I usually just pop everything in the dishwasher. So I wish the dishwasher was a little bit closer so I could still be on camera, but it isn't. So you do what you do. All right, so we've got that, and then we've got half a cup of, I need that half cup back. Okay. Half cup of granulated sugar. And we'll put that in there. And again, we're making cookies so good you could eat them for breakfast, because today is National Raisin Day. And the only way my family eats raisins in food is if I hide it. So that will be the first thing we make sure of, is that we hide those raisins somewhere. So this is one of those things. We're going to go ahead and lock that up. We're going to start that. Yeah. Just realized my bowl's not set. There we go. Now the bowl's set. That'll help. There we go. I'll just put it on stir so it gets things going together. And then we've got our eggs, which I always crack them into a bowl, because I am not always the best at, that was loud, not always the best at keeping the shells out. So it's easier to fish them out of a small bowl than out of a big bowl, especially if there's other things in it. So there we go. I'll turn this up a bit so this gets all incorporated and fluffy and beautiful. I love my KitchenAid mixer. That's something, there's a link for that in the description. And I'm telling you, this one I have had for about 35 years. It was a gift that I got in the early 90s, and I just love it. And it's funny because someone gave us a second one, and it just felt, well, I actually had 3 at one time. We have a larger one downstairs because my husband makes very large batches of cookies. And so we use that at Christmas, and we got that as a gift from my brother. And um, we love that one. And then someone gave us a smaller one, this size. And I have a sister-in-law who makes cookies, and I offered them to her, and she said, "Oh, I don't need that. I don't need that. I've got a mixer." And I'm like, "I'm telling you," I said, "you can make a whole batch instead of, like, you can make your double batch in this instead of making 2 batches." And it's so funny because every Christmas now, and this has been at least 10 years, every Christmas she calls me. She says, this is your yearly call to say thank you for giving me that thing I thought I didn't need. So, it's loads of fun. Anyway, so we've got the eggs in there. And next we're going to go with the flour, which is 1.5 cups. Ooh, that doesn't want to open, which is, I'd rather have it be a little difficult to open than have it not want to, have it be too easy to open. This is a 1.5 cup measure, by the way, not a cup, which is nice. And I'm very careful with flour. I've made some big messes with it, so I try to be really patient with flour, let's put it that way. Okay. Don't want to overdo it, because gluten-free flour, if you're not aware, is very good at absorbing moisture. So you don't want to put too much in. Make sure that's closed. You know, something I love about the King Arthur brand, they're 100% family owned. Somebody tried to buy them out, like do a hostile takeover, and the owners of the company offered it to the employees, and the employees bought the company, which I think is pretty flipping cool. So they got to keep their jobs. All right, and then we're going to do a teaspoon of baking soda. I'll leave that open for a minute. Teaspoon of baking soda going in. Grab these guys out because I know I'm going to need them. And then I need okay, guys. Okay, I couldn't remember if I put the granulated sugar in. Oh well. Now I need a teaspoon of cinnamon. I usually line everything up and then I put it away as I use it, and I didn't remember pulling this up, so obviously I did. Let's see. I need a teaspoon of almond extract. Three cups. These are gluten-free. Most of them are. Yes, I am making the cookies. So, welcome in, Christy. What am I doing? Oh, this is a 1.5 cup measure. I'm going to put 3 cups of oats in there. So it is a little like an oatmeal cookie, but it's like the rich cousin of oatmeal cookies, to be honest. And it's an adaptable recipe that you can use pretty much whatever dry fruit you like. You could put dates in here if you prefer. I usually don't use raisins in here, but I'm using raisins today because it's National Raisin Day. Why not? So these cookies are so good. They're so good. And yes, I'm making them gluten free. I will. That's another recipe I need to get on my website. So what I really ought to do, and I just thought of this, I ought to get together the recipes that I formulate for myself and the ones that I use that are other people's, and put them in a everything we made this month kind of post, probably. But for a lot of these, we'll start putting them on the website. Just another thing we'll be doing. So I will tell you, I'm going to turn this off for just a minute because I need to chop up some apricots. And that'll take me a couple minutes. Most of the time I get unsulfured, but unsulfured just kind of make people uncomfortable because they look terrible. So I didn't get unsulfured this time. I have a slight allergy to sulfites, which you can find in a lot of dried fruit. That's why I don't drink wine for the most part. There are some that are okay. That's a piece of oatmeal. Never mind. What's that got on it? So anyway, but yeah, I was working on next week's recipes and I kind of lost track of time, and all of a sudden I was like, it's time to go make stuff. I thought about chopping these up beforehand and just didn't get to it because I was working on next week, and I'm kind of excited. Next week's going to be a fun week. We're going to have Star Wars Day on Monday. All stuff that's gluten friendly. That'd be fun to make if you have a Star Wars fan. Nothing that's too hard because I don't want anything complicated. So then what else have we got? Well, Tuesday is Taco Tuesday and Cinco de Mayo. And because it's particularly more celebrated probably by Americans even than Mexicans, because we all seem to think it's their Independence Day, which it is not. It's not even that big of a battle, but they celebrate because we celebrate, and we go to their restaurants and spend money, and they're happy about that. So why not? So anyway, we are going to make it completely Americanized, we're going to do Taco Bell. We're going to do some Taco Bell dupes, and we're going to do them gluten-free. And I found a couple recipes that I'm going to play around with, hopefully this weekend, they are gluten-free tortillas, flour tortillas, which I have never, anything that's like a wrap or tortilla, I have not found one yet, to be honest, that I really like. I know some people like the brand Be Free. I think they have a terrible aftertaste, to be honest. Some things are okay. There's O'Dough's has a brand of like square type buns. It's almost like a ciabatta bun, and it's okay. If I really am hankering for a burger that I want on a bun, one of those will do. Now, there is a brand, and they're hard to find. We have a local brand called Sunny Marie, and they're so good. A lot of the local restaurants use them, but because they're so popular with the restaurants, some of the specialty stores that carry them don't always have it, because if there's demand at the restaurants, they get first dibs, which I can understand. They're a more solid customer every week. So anyway, like I said, I've said many times, there's a local person that does sourdough. I'm guessing she'll be at the market that I usually go to. On all the markets are starting up around here, and I'm so excited. So that's about a cup of diced apricots. Got about a handful left, so put those away. And then the recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of dried cranberries. We're going to mix cranberries and raisins. It also calls for 3/4 of a cup of flaked coconut. That will not be going in these because, again, then my family won't eat it. My husband will, but my son will not enjoy that at all. And then also it calls for 3/4 of a cup of slivered almonds, which I could probably put in and they would hardly know they were there. But again, not big fans of nuts in their food. I have made them with them before and they've eaten them, but they prefer them without. So that's what we're looking at. So a fair amount of dried fruit in there, which is not, I mean, I like raisins and stuff. I like dried fruit, but it wouldn't be like my choice, if that makes sense. So we're going to let that finish mixing. It's a really stiff cookie dough. Okay. I'll show you how stiff it is. Oh, wrestle with it. Look at that. It's a big ball of dough. So the funny thing is, even if the cookies come out kind of dry, my husband will make like a glaze or a buttercream to put on them, which again, probably shouldn't be eating that much sugar, but we don't eat these all that often. So I'm going to put this over here, give it a quick rinse, because it's much easier if it gets to that, and wash my hands off because they're all sticky. Okay. I don't know what it is about being on camera that makes my nose run, but it does. So my apologies. At least I'm prepared now. I have a tissue. So I'm gonna pop all of this stuff into the sink. I think that's the last thing we have to cut up. I can put all that away over here, and then put that over here. Grab my cookie sheet. Just kind of I'm clearing the decks here so I can have some room to work. These are golden raisins, by the way. The British call these sultanas. If you ever hear them talking about sultanas, that's what they're talking about. Green grapes, as opposed to darker grapes, which they will call raisins. The things we learn, because I was always like, what's the difference between a sultana and a raisin? Because they also say that. So, oh my gosh, yes. The scampi was so good. Again, good old Costco comes through. You gotta love that, right? And it comes together so quick, like 10, 15 minutes. If I was doing it all at one time, that's a half-hour dinner. And that's so cool to me. Now with something like this, I would probably make these early in the day and then come back later and make the rest. But today we're doing it a little different. So, all right. I'm going to use, this is like a medium-sized scoop. Put them a couple inches apart on here. I'll probably go ahead and just make the one batch for now. I'll make the rest of it later. But these cookies are so good. This is one of my favorites. And I was so glad when they came out with gluten-free flour that I could start making them again. But as I've suggested in the past, one of the things you want to do with gluten-free flour is you do want to let it sit for a little bit. So we're going to let these sit for just a tad while we mix up our burgers. And then once we mix the burgers, or at least get everything in there that we're going to use for the burger mix, then we will we'll put them in the oven, because that will let it sit and let the flour absorb some more moisture, which will also give that time to absorb some more moisture as well. I'm going to push that to the side for a second. I'm going to let those sit for a minute, and we're going to start putting together a burger mix. Now, this is a mix. I use this for burgers. I use this for meatloaf. I use it for meatballs. And I'll make up the burger mix, and then I just season it differently for different meals. So, as a matter of fact, what I might do, because I have the parfaits for tomorrow, but my family likes a little protein, so I may go ahead and just make some meatballs out of what I don't use for burgers. And then I'll already have my meatballs made for tomorrow, or at least have my meatball mix. So I'm going to drain a can of lentils. The other thing is, to help with our cholesterol, to help with weight management, weight loss, that kind of thing. One of the things you want to do is add more fiber. And these lentils have, in a half cup serving, they've got 3 grams of fiber. So it's just another little bit. And the thing is, you can't taste them in the burgers themselves. So that's awesome. And then, and they stretch your budget, because I wait till the beans are on sale, like 10 for 10. So that's, $1's worth of beans. And then, like I said, I use the chicken mix, this is about 1.5 pounds. I'm going to drain the juice off of that. And then pop that in there. And wish me luck. This is this is one of those things. If I ever get a chance to complain to Costco, I love the idea that these are supposed to be easy open. They've got a little tab here. You're supposed to be able to just rip it open. I would like for the tab to be better, if that makes sense. They're hard to get a grip on. Once you do, you can usually do that. Man, sometimes they do not want to come apart. So, hi Brian, welcome in. So we are currently making, today is National Raisin Day. We have a cookie. We call it Cookie So Good You Can Have Them for Breakfast. And those are currently sitting because they're gluten-free. So you let them sit so that the flour isn't grainy and gross and dry. So we're doing that. And while we're waiting for that, we're making up some burgers. And all right, here's where I was talking about yesterday, I was talking about raisins. I did look online, and everything in A1 is gluten-free. So if you're a gluten-free person who isn't super sensitive, so if you're a sensitive celiac, do not use this stuff. But there is a, and the name just escaped me. It's like Ryan's or something like that. And there's nowhere near me that had it. I would have had to order it in, and I didn't have time to get it in. But there is raisin puree in A1. And I'm just going to put in like about a tablespoon of that. And the thing about that is that it doesn't taste like raisins, and your burgers don't taste like A1, but it does give it a really nice flavor. And there's also raisins and Worcestershire sauce. And we're going to put a little bit of that in there. And especially since I use the chicken blend in there to make it less fatty, it helps give that like, oh, my face itches. It helps give that burger umami, if you will, without onion powder, by the way. It gives you a nice umami without all that added fat and cholesterol of the beef. So we're at an age where we have to watch that now, unfortunately. So we do. And this tends to be a rather wet mix, so I always toss in some minced onion. That helps kind of bind it all together. And then we're going to throw in some pepper. I can't put enough of this in for my family. They'll add to it, so what can you say? All right, so there's our burger mix. Now, hopefully that means that the dough has sat long enough. Hey, Mr. IT guy, can you put that in the oven for me, please? And while he does that, getting out my handy dandy gloves, because y'all know, people who've been around. Yeah, please. All right. And if you want to set yourself a timer for 14 minutes, that should work. All right. We're going to mix these up. All right, now I do a quick mix like this, and I've learned over the years, the less you mix it up, the better. You want it incorporated, but you don't want to mix it because it makes it tough. I never understood that until I had it made, quote, the right way, I guess you would say. Will you make sure that's not one of our dogs japing like that? I'm hoping it's the neighbor dog, but we have a dog we have one that digs and we have one that falls in the holes. And she actually really hurt her leg recently. So I'm a little paranoid about them. But I saw this from I wish I knew who it was. If it was, I would credit her. I can't remember which it was, but she said this is the way to make it so that it doesn't get tough and it mixes in. And she's right. It works really, really well. So hi, Giggles. Welcome in. By the way, you guys, we are working really hard to get more subscribers. And so if you want to smash that subscribe button, we would love it. That way you'll know to join us next week for our Star Wars burgers that we're going to be making. Or Star Wars burgers. We're making Star Wars blue milk on Monday. It's Star Wars Day, Monday. And we're going to be making some blue milk and let's see, what's it called? Pork. We're going to have a pork roast, which is not pork. And then we're going to make Ray's instant bread. So, all right. I'm going to take this because I got to grab my pan, and I don't want to get yuck all over it. So, all right. Got my pan. Can you pick that up, please? Move it for me. My IT guy doesn't want to be on camera for those who are new, so I don't make him. But now we're going to pull our little handy dandy cooktop here. And we'll start some burgers. Again, I'm probably just going to do 4. Hey, welcome in from Cape Cod. Uh-oh. It's unplugged, isn't it? Yep, I'll bet it is. Daggone it. Hey, IT guy. I need you to reach over here. I'll hand it to you so you don't have to be on camera. Plug that in for me, please. Like I said, I got lost in the sauce. I was working on all of next week's recipes, and next week it's quite the week because Monday is Star Wars Day, and Tuesday is Cinco de Mayo on Taco Tuesday. But as I was saying before, it's such an American thing that we are actually going to Americanize it even further, and we're going to do some Taco Bell dupes. So we're going to do the viral crunch wrap, and my favorite thing from Taco Bell has always been the Mexi Melt. Or no, sorry, that's my husband's. Mine is the Mexican pizza. So we're going to make a Mexican pizza from Taco Bell, and we're going to make some beef Mexi Melts, which was my husband's favorite. So when those things disappeared from the menu, not that we ate there much, but I'm sure the way we're going to do it will be a healthier way to do it than they do it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to make some gluten-free flour tortillas, which from the looks of things, they may not be the easiest thing I've ever made, but I think I've made more difficult things. So I got to get some. I was reading all the tips and tricks and stuff, and most people were saying that if you get bread flour, gluten-free bread flour, that you get a much better product. So we're going to do that. And one day next week, I think it's must be Wednesday, because we're taking Thursday off next week. We're going to start taking Thursdays off. So Wednesday is Crepe Suzette Day. I love crepes. I've never made one. I actually have a crepe pan, and I've never been brave enough, if you will, to make them. So I'm going to attempt Crepe Suzette. So the thing about that, though, which I'm sometimes you're really glad you read up on things. Reading up on how to make crepe Suzette, I actually need to make the batter 24 hours in advance. So I've got 2 batters that I'm looking over. Both say to refrigerate overnight or up to 12 hours. Or up to 24 hours. So we're going to be doing that. And then we'll make them. Again, like I said, I've never had crepe Suzette, which I didn't realize were very, how do I want to put this? They're orange forward. There's a lot of orange in it, which I didn't realize. And we're going to flambe. So that'll be fun. We've done that one other time with minimal success. So we're going to give that a shot, making the crepe Suzette next week. So our burgers are starting to cook. I'm going to have IT guy get me something else out of the freezer, because it's supposed to stay frozen until we're ready to cook. And I will grab those. And these are super simple and super easy. And sometimes you need that, even when you're gluten-free. A lot of things I cook. Hi, Diane. And hi, Carol. Thanks for coming. I think I said hi to Carol, but just in case I didn't. IT guy, can you hear me? You might be zoning out on me. I need the potatoes, please. So this is easy. It's healthier. Sometimes you want easier still. and occasionally I will go with pre-made. One of the things about pre-made sometimes is that it tends to be a little higher in sodium. No, I need the box. Yes, that's it. Usually they have muffins. But this brand, called Veggies Made Great, is everything they make is gluten-free, which is always nice. And there's actually 5 grams of protein in these guys. So I'm going to make, because these are getting to the end of their life and they've got they're starting to get ice crystals, I'm just going to make them all. If we don't eat them, the birds will. But I also, again, I get these from Costco. They don't always have them, but these also have, zucchini, onion, pinto bean flakes, green onion. So yeah, a little bit more veggie besides just the potatoes. But like I said, some of them have a little bit of ice on them. So before they get like super freezer burned, we're just gonna use them all up. Let me switch that out. So yeah, I think I'll go ahead and make meatballs for tomorrow to go with our sweet and savory parfaits. That's what we're gonna do. So sometimes it's as easy as cut it open and take it out of the bag, which is what we're gonna do. Turn those down just a bit. I wanted to get it warm in there. All right. So anybody got big plans in May? Usually I love April because my birthday is in April, but April's been a rough month, y'all. So I would love to hear if anybody's got big plans. We're supposed to take a road trip later in May. Just my husband and I. My son will be staying home to take care of the house and take care of the dogs for us. So that'll be great. Just in case somebody I've been told, don't tell people you're going out of town. Well, there's going to be somebody here. Not to mention, my neighbor and I watch out for each other. She's, one of my neighbors is single. And so if there's anything weird, like if I see a weird car in her driveway, I'm like, are you okay? If she sees something going on at my house, she'll be like, is this person supposed to be here? So we look out for each other, it's great to have neighbors like that. As a matter of fact, we call each other Mrs. Kravitz. So if you're of a certain age and you watch Bewitched, you know what I'm talking about. Because if one of us doesn't know what's going on, usually the other one does. So, and not in a busybody way. And it's not with all of the neighbors. We have a few, let's see. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us who've lived here over 20 years. There are a couple more who've been here about 10 years. And then there's about 3 that have lived here at least 5. So it's not a real transient neighborhood. We tend to stick around. I mean, my son has 2 friends that he met when he was 2 when we moved here. And when he was 4 and could start playing outside a little bit on his own, or with me watching him, a couple of the little boys in the neighborhood started hanging out. And he is still friends with them. So this many years later. So that's pretty cool. Check these little puppies. Yeah, we're going to give them a flip. All right. Turn that down just a little more. Let them cook low and slow on that second side. I got a nice little crust on them. So put that to the side. See how long we got to put these guys in the air fryer. 9 minutes. Now my air fryer cooks low, so I always turn up how long does it say? 9 minutes, yeah. But I will turn up the temperature. It says 360. I'll cook these on 375. Okay, so 375 for, I'm going to go for 10 minutes. All right, we've got about a minute left on those cookies, so I'm going to grab out a cooling rack real quick. Something else I love having a table that has storage underneath. I have very little counter space and very little storage in here. And so it is very helpful to have that under storage. Because we've talked about replacing the table, and I'm like, but I can't lose my storage. So, well, let me ask you, Fred, what do you wipe your nose with? Do you wipe your nose with your feet? Sorry, it itches. And I don't actually use my hand. I use the back of my wrist for that very reason, because I don't touch, I don't touch the food with this. I don't touch my nose and then touch the food. I also wash my hands a lot, if you ever watch. And I wipe my hands on this all the time. So, all right, IT guy, you going to grab those out of the oven for me, dear? And we'll get those. So, IT guy tried to get them out of the microwave. Oops. Yeah, they look like they're about done. You know what? Put them in for like 2 more minutes. So we're going to go about 2 more minutes with those. And would you get me out the cheese? Give me out the cheese, and I'll just put it on mine for now. And I'm going to grab a plate real quick. So, well, just so you know, Fred, I do have a tissue here, and most of the time that's what I do. Sometimes I forget. I don't know. Do other people not ever wipe their nose with the back of their hand? Maybe I'm the only one in the world. I don't think I am, but I could be. Again, like I told people, I'm cooking for my family. I'm not unhygienic. So, but if it bothers you, I'm sure we all do things that bother one another. So I try not to be too bothered by other people's stuff. So anyway, all right, I'm going to check these burgers again. Yep, they're really close to being done. I'm going to move them around the pan here just a little bit. A little hot. It seems to cook a little hotter on this side. It's brand new, so I'm still trying to figure it out. So, and also I'm kind of new to cooking burgers with chicken and turkey. So judging when it's done without it being overly done, because it gets very dry. It's drier than beef, in my opinion. It's kind of a big deal. So, okay. So those are going. And then, again, me being gluten-free, so I don't know if it's, oh, I'm going to butcher that, but I'm going to try it. Is it, I would guess millicam. I could be wrong, but if that's the way it's said, or if you want to correct me on that one, please do. But welcome in. And IT guy, can you grab those out of the oven, please? So I do have it right here, believe it or not. I do have my handy dandy. You're right. But I don't know if, what, tell me about a burger? I don't know. So I guess with poultry, I'd only have to have it 165. So that was a good idea, Christy. Thanks. Okay, that one's not done. Oh, that one's done. And that one's really close. Okay, so wipe that off. So this is the one that is definitely done. I eat mine just without a bun, like I said, where Christy, thank you so much for that. It literally was sitting right there. I'm so glad you said that. So, all right. Why don't you hand me the up glove? And I'm going to grab those cookies and I'm going to show you. All right. This is what that lovely batch of cookies looks like. I'm going to let those cool for just a second. Tray is toasty. Let me tell you. So I'm going to turn this off. They will continue to cook because that stays hot for a while. My husband was delighted. You asked earlier, Christy. My husband was delighted when he came home yesterday because, like, everything was still right there. It was all ready for him. He didn't have to wait for dinner. He's like, this is cool. I was like, well, it's got to be warmed up a little bit, which is tricky with shrimp. So yesterday I made shrimp scampi for those who weren't here. And so he warmed it up very slowly and pulled the shrimp out while he was warming up the vegetables and the gluten-free orzo. So, which I mentioned he has a thing about rice, not his favorite thing. So he's like, I had to trick my brain and keep telling it, it's not rice, it's not rice, it's orzo. So anyway, stuff happens, right? Okay. So next batch will be going in here in just a sec. I have about 3 or 4 batches of these. Normally, I would make up a couple of cookie sheets and I would flip them and all that. But again, I just don't want to run off camera a bunch of times. So there we go. An IT guy will take care of putting those back in for me. So, and I am going to, well, I'll use that spatula again for the potatoes. But I'm going to grab my big lid. Keep those burgers warm for my guys. 14 minutes. Actually, we went about 15, so why don't you give yourself 15? All right, and these are still warm, but not too hot to handle. So I've not made these with gluten-free flour before, so this will be a first. Not mad about that. I imagine my husband will make a glaze because they're not real sweet. Man, they're good. And currently they're like really, really soft, which is my favorite way to nibble on them. Um, so good. I learned this from my I think I learned this from my husband. We will take a paper towel and put just a tiny bit of water on it, not even to make it like barely damp. And then after they've sat for a couple days, if they start to, so if they're not soft like this anymore, if you wrap the cookies up and you put them in the microwave for about 20 seconds with that paper towel around it, it's like they just came out of the oven. So good. But yeah, for a gluten-free cookie, that tastes amazing. Now, when it comes to a burger, I love it with grilled onions, which I didn't even think about, to be honest. Would you like one? I think you guys just stole one. Would you get me out the ketchup? So yeah, I'm a Midwest kid. Ketchup on a lot of things. And I know I make Chicagoans and East Coasters really mad because I eat ketchup on my hot dogs. I know. It's supposed to be with mustard. So I apologize to those of you on the East Coast. But and then again, like I said, you don't even notice the extra fiber. You don't notice that these are lower fat. They're just a really, really delicious burger that's just better for you. And there's something about the way when it gets all put together that they stay really juicy, which makes my husband happy because he always says, you know, if the juice isn't running down your arms, it's not juicy enough. It's all about the sauce for him. So, it has such a soft texture when you make it like that and mix it like that. And I just used it. There it is. So, oh, I'll take this one since it's pretty well done. I'm going to close that up so that they stay nice and warm, because the hubs should be home in about 15 minutes, so it'll still all be warm for him, thank goodness. And again, are these as good as if you made them yourself? Probably not. Are they great in a pinch when you're in a hurry? Yeah, they are. So I'm all about adding a little ketchup to it, or whatever makes you happy. I would probably put a little cheese on top, maybe sprinkle a little extra cheese on top for a little extra protein. Protein, easy for me to say. Knowing they're gluten-free makes me happy. Again, they're not the best hash brown I've ever had, but they're great for when you want something quick and you need something gluten-free. So there you have it. That is dinner for this evening with our burgers. Now, my guys will have them on regular buns. Fine with me. I'll be having this. I've got some leftover Brussels sprouts from the other night, so I'll be warming those up to add to my plate, so I have a little bit more veggie on there. And then I will allow myself another cookie for sure, because again, more fiber. There's a lot of fiber in those cookies, so they're healthier than you think. And I used the sugar-free brown sugar, so that brought the sugar content down. And then tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow's parfait day, so I am looking forward to this. I got to go run to the grocery store and get a few pieces of get some fresh food to put in there. But I'm excited to make these parfaits tomorrow, and I hope I will see you there. We'll be here at the same time, 3:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 UTC. Remember to subscribe so you get notifications, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Love you guys. Bye-bye.